Hello everybody, and welcome to the Apple Exchange's tutorial videos on how to use your Mac. Today we're going to go over the direct comparisons and what you would use in Mac versus Windows. This will hopefully help you make a transition. We're going to go ahead and start in the Windows screen. To begin with, this is the overall look you're used to. You're used to your Start button in the bottom left corner, time and date, battery information, internet information, and volume controls in the lower right hand corner, and your taskbar, which you can pin programs to, as well as show you what is open. In Mac, this is pretty comparable. You can see here we have desktop shortcuts that could be known as what you'd call a taskbar, but this is called the dock in Mac. Your Start button is pretty much your Apple logo. And you can still create desktop shortcuts for programs as you do in Windows. On Windows Start menu, you're used to having a few key access moments. One of them is to shut down your computer. The other is quick links to your documents, pictures, music, or whatever else you may have pinned here. And the other are your programs. This is all your program shortcuts of things you use most often, and all programs, so you can view everything that's installed on your Windows machine. In Mac, your Start menu is divided up into three different categories. First, your most used, or things that you want pinned down on your dock, are going to be across the bottom. Second is going to be your Apple logo. This will contain your shutdown, log out, recent items, quick dock settings, your control panel or system preferences, your application store, software update to keep your Mac up to date, and information about your Mac, as well as your applications folder. In Windows, you're used to using Control Panel for your settings. You usually get here by a few different ways, but generally the quickest is to click on the Start button and go to Control Panel. In Mac, this is done pretty much the same. You can either click on System Preferences in your dock, or you can click the Apple logo and System Preferences. System Preferences is almost identical to the way Windows Control Panel is laid out. Here it'll show you all your general categories, and if you click on one, it'll actually go in more in depth for the settings you want to change. In Windows, you're used to closing an application by clicking the big red X. This completely quits the application in Windows and frees it from your RAM. In Mac, it's done a bit differently. If you click the big red X, the application will still stay open, and you'll still have access to open things through it. There are two ways to quit an application completely. Way one would be to click on System Preferences and click Quit. This will apply for any application, whether it's Safari, Mail, Word, anything. The other way is to use the keyboard shortcut Command Q. Command Q and clicking the name as well as Quit have the same effect. But until doing that exact motions, your application will not be fully quit. So if you're having problems on your Mac and things aren't running quite as you want them to, it's always good to check what you may have open. In Windows, you're used to Internet Explorer as your built-in default browser. Mac also has something comparable to this. Mac's version is called Safari. Safari is the built-in web browser for Mac. And unbiasedly, I will say, it is definitely more intuitive, much easier to use, and much more secure. In Windows, you're used to viewing your files and accessing you may want through Windows Explorer, where you can get to documents, music, pictures, videos, as well as other items you may have here. In Mac, this is done through what's called Finder. Your Finder is pretty comparable to Windows Explorer in the sense you have access to whatever you may want to access. The shortcuts listed here on the left-hand side are able to be edited as far as adding and subtracting on things you may not want. This is done through Finder, and Preferences. You'll click on the Sidebar tab, and you'll see here for your favorites, there's many more things you can add. Movies, music, pictures, your home directory, any shared devices, current devices, and you'll see here now if I reopen my Finder window, I have a few more shortcuts to choose from that's pretty much anywhere I could store data. In Windows, you're used to using what's called a task manager to view your performance in running processes. Mac also has a comparable program. That program is called Activity Monitor. There's a few different ways you can get there, but generally the quickest is to click on the Applications file, scroll down to the folder called Utilities, and you'll see Activity Monitor listed as the first. Activity Monitor in Mac is very comparable to Task Manager. It gives you your CPU usage, your memory usage, your energy, what applications are using the most energy, your hard drive, what's using the hard drive, and network, basically what's coming through your network. Most Windows users are very used to the right-click feature that gives you more options for you to select or edit things. For an example, I could click on the folder called ScreenFlow, and I have a few more options to choose from. The right-click in Mac has the same exact function. When you go to shut down your computer, you're used to clicking the Start button and Shut Down. In Mac, this is also done by the Apple logo and Shut Down. In Windows, you're used to viewing information about your Mac by using a few different methods, but generally clicking on the Start button, right-clicking on Computer, and choosing Properties. This will list most of the information about your current computer's configuration. In Mac, this is done very much the same way. Apple logo and About This Mac. The first window you will find will be just a brief summary. It'll give you your software version and allow you to search for updates, give you your processor and RAM, as well as your current startup disk. But you will notice down below that there is a button that says More Info. If you click on the More Info button, you'll get a very intuitive menu with different tabs that'll give you a lot more information. The Overview tab is still kind of a synopsis. It'll give you your current year of your MacBook Pro or whatever Mac you may be using, again your processor, and again your RAM. Added will be your graphics card, your serial number, and software version with its specific build. Again, you'll have the option to do a software update, or you can click on System Report. On the second tab gives you your displays. Not only will it show you what size and what native resolution your display is, but it'll also show you what graphics card you're using for this display. Also have a quick settings menu for display preferences. The Storage tab will show you information about the current hard disks you are using. As you can see here, I currently have 2 in my system. My Macintosh hard drive, which is my startup disk, and an internal storage for extra space. It's actually color-coded and gives you an idea of what you have. It's very nice to see a menu like this, as it's easy for you to see what's taking up space on your hard drives. The Memory tab will show you how many slots you have in use and what is in each slot, as well as give you memory upgrade instructions. This can be very useful. Back on the Overview tab, if you want extensive information about your Mac, you can click on the System Report. The System Report generates a very in-depth menu of pretty much every single piece of your Mac. This is one thing that Windows really doesn't have, and it's good to know and good to use if you ever have any specific issues. For example, if I felt like my battery was not running very well in my MacBook Pro, I could click on the Power section and check the condition of my battery, which we can see here is normal. In Windows, you're used to viewing your hard disk information by clicking the Start menu and clicking on Computer. This will show you your current local disk as well as any other hard drives you may have plugged in. In Mac, this is done a bit differently. The hard drive icons do automatically appear on your desktop as long as you have the settings selected, and that would be under Finder, Preferences, General, and you just want to make sure hard disks is checked. With this, you can easily right-click on whatever hard drive you want information about and click Get Info. It'll show you your full capacity. It'll show you how much you have available, as well as how much you're currently using. It'll also tell you when the volume was created and the last time it was modified, as well as what Mac OS X it has installed on it. Thank you for watching our tutorial video on Windows versus Mac and helping you in your transition. If you have any special requests or things you may have questions on, please feel free to contact the Apple Exchange at 602-492-7575. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to catching you on our next video.